What happens when two tech YouTubers can't get tech to work? Well, you're about to find out. Join us in episode 12 of Technically Together for some tech troubleshooting talk and a lot of tangents. Enjoy. Hi, so I think it's your turn.
Okay. After all of that, we'll explain what happened, but
Yeah.
we'll do that. Hey, it's JV,
It's Isa.
and we are technically
Technically
together.
very tired and together.
So we just spent the last 45 minutes trying to figure out this audio thing, which is fine. Like, these things happen, but I want to, we have said this on the show before, and this is just me sort of exhibiting it for a moment. My chest is hot and tight, and trying to not be as frustrated as Issa was trying to figure this out while still trying to solve the problem with her from 3,000 plus miles away. So that is our relationship
Yeah.
in a nutshell.
Yeah, I
So
was losing it. I was
so forgive
like,
us if we're both kind of coming into this a little bit off energy.
we'll try to we'll try to rechannel, right? This is real life practice, how to rechannel our energies when we are riled up, and like, let's go have a nice conversation and sort of try to unwind, because it was a rough start, not just for the podcast. Like, for me, it's a rough start of a day. I woke up, like, sorry for being graphic, I woke up bleeding. It was like, not I'm not feeling my best. Come into a podcast which is supposed to work, but sometimes, guys, and this is coming from tech people, sometimes stuff just don't work, and it's not like something you can Google. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of patience. It's This was working, then it was not, and then we couldn't get it to work. And two people who make tech videos couldn't figure out the solution in less than 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was a lot of troubleshooting, and there are always theories. There are always things that we think are the problem, and we seem to have figured one of them out. For anybody who might be technical and is very curious, Issa's using a two-sided microphone there. That's why I got her that specifically for,
Pretty.
and it's also pink, yes. But she's using only one side because there's only one of her, obviously, and it's the right way to use that mic for your own audio recording. The thing is, not only is she in a small space where there's a lot of network and internet connectivity that might cause feedback, it also might be that, and this is just my theory, that even if she's only using one side of the mic, the side that's not being used is pointed at the interference causing product, which is her laptop. So,
Yeah. So add
freaking
that to
airwaves and radio waves are still
yeah.
going through that side.
Yeah, and add that to the fact that I tend to work like very compact, so I insist on just plugging everything to my laptop. So right now it has a dongle with everything else on it. I am in a small space. I can't really do much about it. There's the added layer of, is it my basket of phones? Is it my many different wireless earphones I've been using? It was a trip.
Yeah. So
So let me just say again, thank you, babe, for your patience, for not losing it like I was losing it, for indulging me and just not giving me the answers to the video games, even if, like, if you don't get that reference, listen to the previous podcast, which
well,
was
I
a
had no
great
idea what was going on either. I had to go through the same steps as you, only from
yeah,
this
but
far
you've played the
away.
game before.
Yeah, I guess.
So like,
Yeah, I guess you're right. We have gone through this before, where I have theories in place already that I've shared with you
yeah.
and that you've tried.
I mean, I tried what you tried. It's just that I was getting very frustrated.
Yeah.
Again, and Joshua and I have talked about this so many times. I just expect things to work and I just want things to be easy a lot of times when it comes to tech. So like, stuff like this really frustrates me. So yeah,
And while
today's
she's
topic.
and while she's jumping around trying to figure all that stuff out, if you're watching the YouTube version of the podcast, I'm literally just sitting like this because there's nothing that I can do but say, try this, and be as patient as possible with my Girlfriend who is cursing up a storm and calling everything stupid when
It
literally
was
not
stupid. Nothing was working.
nothing is stupid. People are not, like, the people trying to figure it out are not stupid. The products are not stupid. It's just a combination of the scenario. It's the circumstance. It's
Really
just what's
end
happening.
up to stupid. But I mean, on the other hand, like silver lining, this framing looks sort of good for me. It looks a little more lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've been
Silver
here. I mean,
lining.
can go a little farther with the thing.
Oh, hiya. How you doing?
Hello. In my heather gray shirt with no muscle underneath.
What?
I need to get back to working out. Like I've actually
I
I
need
did
to do the
a
same.
42-hour fast today.
How are
Um,
you doing that? I was getting mad because I couldn't drink my coffee because it was still hot.
well, that was the other thing. Like last week, I was saying I actually got off. Oh no, I didn't say it on the show, did I? I got off coffee,
You did, you did.
which
You
is a
talked about
really,
it, and
oh yeah, I
I
did talk about it.
sort of got confused about it because like how, but yeah.
The guy who used to
How's that
bring,
going?
it's going really well so far. The guy who would bring his own beans, grinder, butter, MCT oil to make bulletproof coffee on the road, even in places where there are great coffee places near where we are. Like for example,
Mm-hmm.
this is one that came to mind a little while ago. In about a week or two, I would be heading to Maui on any other year for a Qualcomm event. It's
I
well
now want
known.
to go to Hawaii to visit
We are going to
my
go,
future friend. My future friend.
Mr.
Red
Rock.
Bun!
Um, What's funny is I go to a place like Hawaii, and I've only ever been to Maui, but if to anybody who even knows a thing or two about Hawaii, it is where America's best coffee is grown. And I'm talking about grown, not roasted, grown. Because you could
Mm-hmm.
argue that Seattle has the best coffee, that's where Starbucks came from, but those beans come from other places. But Hawaii is where USA grown coffee comes from. It is the best coffee I've ever had, some of the best coffee. And still, I'm there bringing my own beans, like making my own coffee every morning. I could just go to a cafe
And
nearby.
leaving it to
Not that
buy
it's
new
easy to.
beans.
Not that it's easy to though, because when we're on the resort, it's not like we can just walk across the street. It's not that easy. Like we would have to get an Uber or something like that. Um, not only that, every morning of the actual event starts at like 7.
Yeah. Well, I
So
mean, talking of speaking of trips, we should be on. It was just Day, and we're supposed to be in China for that. Last year
did
we
you
went,
watch
and I
it?
remember. I was at the call. I was writing when it was happening,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's why
You
I
did do
was.
content, which is great.
Yeah.
I was gonna do a tweet, but I did another tweet already, so I'm gonna wait till tomorrow. Um, but yeah, the when I was watching, I watched a little bit of it because I was up already,
Mm-hmm.
and when it happened, when Oppo did the
Yeah.
event, it was midnight here in LA, so I
Yeah.
watched like half an hour, and wow, yeah. My first thing, two things happened. Number one, there was a live chat. And whenever I say something in a live chat on YouTube, there's a little check mark next to my name. So people know,
That's so cool.
so people know that's really me. So all I said was, it's a shame we couldn't be there ourselves. And a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
people were like, yeah, oh, yeah, they have people in that arena. How come we can't? I'm like, you know why? Because we've got dumbasses not wearing masks over here, man. It's like,
Oh,
God.
speaking of people and masks, I don't know why this is a thing, but so like I got a comment on my wing video about how I should just like shut up about my opinion on people who don't wear masks, and I'm like, you stupid person. But like
Send him
what?
my way because a video later this week that's going to come out, the sponsor is a mask.
Oh,
Uh,
that's so
I
cool.
literally have a mask sponsor,
Man.
and there's going to be a dedicated ad
Do
spot
they
of me
have
talking
pretty
about it.
masks?
No,
I want a mask.
it's just a
Oh.
black mask, so not pretty.
Hmm.
Uh,
No, I've been also looking for like basic black masks. Like I've learned, so I haven't so okay, I haven't been going out enough for me to actually need to get myself an actual mask because again, I've been out 6 times since March.
mhm.
But so I'm thinking when I do go out, I need to get myself like a basic, nice basic mask. And the best suggestions from this side of the world actually are the masks from Uniqlo. They
They're
have
good.
air, yeah, the airism tech
Hmm.
they use for their shirts. They have those masks, so it's yeah. Have
It's
you tried
good
that?
for it's good. I have them. It's good for comfort and for breathability. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing is, the reason why I prefer, and again, I know I'm sponsored by them, but I genuinely feel this way. The reason why I really much prefer this mask from Moshi is because they
Wait,
created.
it's Moshi.
It's Moshi. I will connect you. The I
I
will connect
really love
you.
them. Okay, so when I visit next time, okay, their bags are pretty, their cases are pretty, their accessories are pretty. I just want to put it out there. So not only are they functional, they make pretty things, and I've always been like super fascinated by their stuff because a lot of brands tend to skew towards, and you know this, we've talked about this. A lot of brands tend to skew towards functionality,
Hmm.
and they don't only skew towards functionality, they also factor in like aesthetics, which
Yeah. So I will connect you. Um, I don't want to get too deep into the relationships that I have with PR, but as it turns out, I think I told you this, that the
yeah,
PR
yeah,
contact that I have at Moshi is actually someone I know from like
yeah,
college. So I was like, cool.
yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
I'll connect you. But this mask in particular, again, I know that I said that they're sponsored, but this part is not sponsored. Let me just say, this is how I really feel. The things I like more about the Moshi one are that Moshi created their
Mhm.
own. I guess the term is slide in filters,
Mechanism, yeah, yeah.
and they call it nanohedron.
Uh-huh.
Basically, it's supposed to provide not N95 level filtering, but it's better than just a piece of cloth on your face. So
Yeah,
that's
and
good.
so yeah, so my sister is saying that that N95 thing, like you know how people tout N95s and are like, yeah, use N95. She's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're not using it right because if you use an N95 properly, you'd actually have like struggle a little bit with breathing. It's
Yep,
not like, you know. So I mean, I get it, and she's saying like it's not, you don't need an N95 for like everyday use, you know.
exactly.
It's like the
Which is why
surgical masks are enough.
Yeah, which is why I do have an N95 level mask called
Mm-hmm.
the curve, not the valve, the curve. The thing is, consumer grade N95 masks have a valve because it helps
Yeah.
with the breathing. But like your sister
Yeah.
said, being from the medical field, you're not supposed to be able to
Yeah.
breathe super well with an N95 on. That's how the filtering
Yeah.
actually happens.
And like,
But anyway,
okay, I just want to say this really quickly. Like, there was a time when it was advised not to wear masks out, and like non-mask wearers are holding on to that to say that we don't need to use masks. And I'm like, do you not realize that they were doing that because they were conserving masks for
mhm,
medical health workers,
because
and
the
in the
only
first place, you weren't supposed to be out, and that's why they were like, don't wear masks. It's like, does this not make sense to you?
well, it's because
Like,
at least from the U.S. They're at the time when they were saying don't wear masks, it was because the only masks that were available were from medical grade companies. So it took maybe 3 4 months for manufacturers. I mean, think of any name in the general consumer space, they have a mask now. YouTubers and influencers
yeah,
have their own masks now. So it just had, we needed some time to actually create safe masks for people to use from general consumers so that medical masks were available to medical people.
yeah. And
So
like
that's
it's like
that's where someone like Moshi comes in because Moshi created one that I actually really like.
yeah.
So yeah, it has that filter. But the other thing, and the thing that I think it really has over the Uniqlo masks, and now don't get me wrong, I actually really like the Uniqlo masks. The thing
Mm-hmm.
is, when you wear the Uniqlo mask, it's one really nice piece of fabric that is very
Mm-hmm.
soft, very comfortable. But when you talk, the chin part will pull the whole thing down, and you're constantly adjusting it. And there's
Oh, because
no
it's like a
like,
whole thing.
yeah,
No
and there's
nose bridge
no
thing.
there's no nose bridge either. The Moshi one has a small wire that will help with the nose, and then there's a separate chin piece that was stitched onto it so that it actually like moves, like
Hmm.
it doesn't get pulled
A
when your chin
non-slip,
goes
like
up and
for
down.
footsies. For the yeah, I get what you're
Kind of,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just a,
that sounds
you have the
cool.
one mask like this, and then they stitched an extra part for the chin. Is what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I
So
mean, moving on to good news though, like there is promised progress on some vaccines. There's promised progress on Pfizer vaccine and a Moderna vaccine. Here, wishfully thinking that hopefully by mid next year we could realistically start traveling. Although I think that's best case scenario.
I mean, even
I
then, even when we are vaccinated and we can go places, I would only want to go to places that had it better controlled than most. Like, I don't think I would want to
So
go
that takes
to
the Philippines out of the equation or the US.
pretty much, or the UK,
I
or Italy, or I mean, France not so much, but they did go into a full lockdown. But I'm talking
I mean,
like
but
South
full
Korea,
lockdown
Japan.
is ideal, though. Like the whole
Indeed.
full lockdown situation is ideal for it to get contained. So I'm not like I would rather go into like places who've actually implemented full lockdowns
So
and then have
there's skepticism
gone.
from people in terms of should you get the first batch of
Yeah,
vaccines. Like,
yeah,
would you do it?
which is understandable. I
Yeah,
don't know
mm,
because again, clinical trials take years.
exactly.
So if I could help it, I wouldn't probably. Honestly, I'm not sure about you, but with systems in place where I'm at, I wouldn't risk it. I'm not very um I am not very trusting of the institutions in place where I'm at that safeguard community safety. I will give that general statement.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm not I don't think where you are there is as much of a mistrust in institutions that safeguard safety as much as the mistrust that I have where I am at. Does that make sense?
I think that you're right, but whereas there might be a greater trust in the institutions, that assumes that a good 45% of the population here in the US don't already have the conspiracy theory skepticism that the institutions even exist. So we literally have people here who are anti vaxxers. They'll sooner vaccinate their
Yeah.
dog because it's law rather than vaccinate their children because they don't believe that vaccinations are actually good for them, that they cause problems. Like we've all
Yeah, I
been
mean,
vaccinated since birth, and yet you're going to grow up and say, no, not my kid. You let him get measles, let him get a hepatitis B. You know,
I find
my
that, I honestly find that so funny because, like, I mean, I come from a country where the things that you've eradicated, like you don't have rabies because of
mhm.
vaccinations and stuff like that. We have it. Like that's a legitimate problem for us. This was why I was freaking out about rabies and you were like, "But like why are you worrying about that?" Because you come from a place where it's almost eradicated.
Mhm.
And I come from a place where like it's legit a fear.
Yeah,
So I mean, like I find it so funny that you've progressed to a certain level and then all of a sudden someone's like, "Wait, no, let's halt progress right there."
yeah,
Like that's so stupid. Like
yeah.
I mean,
The most infuriating parts of modern US society is that there are people who believe their skepticism makes them more knowledgeable. Like the fact that they look at something and they go, I'm not too sure about that. It makes
like
them feel like they have critical thinking when in reality, facts or science or science.
like for me it's like it okay, I want to end it here because I think this will rile us up more. Not that like getting riled up is bad, but in general, I want to lighten the. We've had a rough morning, but there is a saying where it goes, and empty cans are always loudest. When you are skeptical of something, what you should do is not announce to the world your skepticism. What you should do is inform yourself.
Mm-hmm.
In the age of the internet, that is very possible. Check multiple sources, learn, and not go on Twitter and say, "No, I'm skeptical of this," and expect the other person to educate you.
Yeah.
Your education is your responsibility. In today's time, you have access to it,
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know?
And
Like
just and the people who go out of their way to say they're skeptical about something are already going to be reticent to hear other people
yeah,
try and educate them.
yeah.
That's the other problem.
Like, yeah, I refuse the responsibility to educate you. This is something I've learned. Like I've always been for conversation, for information, for all that stuff. But you know what? I'm putting my foot down. It's not my responsibility to educate you, and I will not take your idiotic excuse
Hmm.
for critical thinking. Real critical thinking entails educating yourself.
Hold on. Internet
What
connection
is
on
going
Nisa's
on?
side.
Whoa, that what happened? What
Okay,
was
you're back.
that? Yeah, what was
There you go.
that?
You're back. I don't know. Just
That's
internet
a
connection. Write that
brownout.
down.
I don't
20.
know. No, it's okay. We can keep that like full few seconds because, guys, that is the reality of the world.
Well, I do
On
have
my side of
one.
the world,
I
it
do
just
have.
I have. Mhm.
I do have one last thing to say on this topic, and it's just a general sort of thought slash rant that I have. It's great that we have vaccines, two of them now, that seem to be over 90% effective. And when
Mhm.
our country's leading experts say that's really good news, then awesome. Like, we can look forward to something. Maybe by the time my birthday comes around next year, I'll be able to go places and whatnot. But what I find so weird is that cases are going up so high right now in many places in the US, including California, which is why I'm doing a personal thing. I'm not going to go anywhere for the next couple of weeks, especially since the holidays are coming up and everyone goes crazy around Thanksgiving for some reason.
Yeah.
And I find it odd that we have vaccines that are over 90% effective, but we still have no testing that can tell us immediately if we have it or not.
Mass testing. Yeah.
Like, there's still
Yeah.
testing still takes about 3 days for a final result, which is terrible because there are people, and I'm going to say, like, I'm not proud of my fellow Los Angelinos for doing this, but there was a article earlier in the LA Times that said people are getting tested on Thursday, hoping for a negative result on Saturday so that Saturday night they can go out and party.
Okay. I mean, must be nice to have that privilege.
But even then, nothing about it is safe just because you got a negative test 3 days after you got tested. You could have gotten infected in those 3 days, and even if you got tested and
Yeah.
you came back negative, it doesn't mean everyone else you're about to party with without masks on or social distancing got tested themselves.
Yeah, I'm just I'm literally just hanging back in my house because I am the on the other in other news, we've been stuck in the house for so long. We've literally been fixing up the house like typical Filipino household. My parents just accumulate stuff. Um, I can tell you right now there are two, three rooms of this house that have become like what do you call that? A bodega. Like it's there's just stuff. There's just literal stuff. Um, so we've been slowly trying to clear it up. It's a process. We've cleared out. So we actually have two lanais, and one has just been like closed off. Funny story is that it used to be always open, but then we put a couch in front of it, and then my brother Anton, when he was a toddler, sat up on the ledge of the couch and then fell off, ended up with stitches. Like he
Oh,
literally had to get stitches, like he was bleeding everywhere. Um, so after that, we just closed it off forever. And now we put plants in. It's pretty, and it's like wow, look at all this pretty space. And so we're upping it up a notch. And like come December, we've scheduled it for December. We're repainting the house, and like I know that like you guys do that. You guys repaint your houses. Filipinos don't. We hire people to do that. So so
oh no, no, we got people to do, but this renovation in
yeah,
my house was years ago, but we didn't do it
yeah,
ourselves.
but you guys, it's normal for you guys to do it, right?
Oh, I see what
To
you
just
mean.
repaint your house. We don't ever like it's not like you get so like me and my brother, I have literally YouTube how to do it. So we're gonna do it.
Nice.
We'll
Um,
see how that goes.
is there a Filipino word in any dialect. I was going to say Tagalog or Filipino or whatever. Is there a
Mm,
word in any of the Filipino dialects for hoarder?
Filipino.
I hope our
I
Filipino
don't know.
listeners and friends are laughing at that joke because it's a little too real. But yes.
it is real. Like I think it's part of the culture because if okay, like I read this article which said that minimalism is for people who are rich
Hmm.
because excuse me because when you're a minimalist it means that you can afford to buy anything anytime, right? And it like our culture dictates that like we sort of save up
Yeah.
because of how everything. I mean, come on, man. Like, I'm just, I don't know why we're like so many shitty things happening in the world, but like northern provinces right now are flooded.
Yeah.
Like, I can drive an hour away where I'm at, and people's houses are submerged. Like, floods reached up to second and third floors in the Philippines. So don't you dare tell me that climate change isn't real. We are badly hit. We've gotten like the world's strongest, the three of the world's, the top three strongest storms hit the Philippines. And we just got one like a few weeks ago. We had another one the following week. And like everyone's underwater. Northern provinces have had people drowning. Like there are videos of people in the dark just screaming because they shut down local networks. They didn't know it was gonna flood. Literally, kids are screaming, and like electricity transformers have busted, rescuers are dying, and there's no local media. So it's been crazy. See, this is real life, huh? But yeah, Filipino resilience, which we should stop glorifying, entails like you just sort of take and take and take, right? I don't know. I think it's a cultural thing. It's like it's what is the word for it? It's like don't throw stuff away because you're trying to say like save for a rainy day. Does that make
Yeah, that's
sense?
the
Like
term. Yeah. And I was about to say,
magagamit pa siya, parang wag mong itatapon, magagamit pa natin yan, and then they repurpose into some other thing.
yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. And especially for those situations, and by the way, like I know that it's such a cliche phrase, but thoughts and prayers out to anybody who's affected at the moment. And
Yeah.
yes, the systems in place are fucked up, and that's why the situation is so fucked up. I think that much is clear. But yeah, the whole idea that for minimalists, I'm not gonna lie, I can be kind of an example of that because my brother and I kind of fell into the trend for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I decided I could not follow through with minimalism because of the job I have. Literally, my job will not allow me to be a minimalist when five
Yeah, you should be
boxes arrive on any one day. Um,
yeah.
the but my brother has been able to, for the most part. But even he, I believe, would agree philosophically that yeah, like if we were to minimize to a point where we realize there's an item that we either gave away, threw away, or sold that we realize we need now, we can get that item.
Yeah.
And that
It's not the
is
same
that's
situation here.
that's a
Yeah.
very ideal like
Yeah.
circumstance
Like
to have.
let me explain this circumstance in a way that we're actually doing. Like for example, I wanted to get some mics which are not cheap. And as it turns out, those mics that Joshua can easily get is like $100 more expensive even here.
Yep.
So like do you see how absurd that is? Like I can easily Joshua can easily get those mics from Amazon, probably get deals on it or whatever. From here, I would have to pay an extra $100 to get the same mics.
And it would
So
take a
this is
long time.
why, yeah, and it would like yeah, no, I could probably get it earlier too, like on stock, but again, it's like $100+ more expensive. So like my point is like if I to get this one easy thing would have to spend that much more, like of course I'm gonna take it and never let go of it, even if I never use it again.
Yeah.
So like it's We don't have return policies. We don't like the whole system is set up where like when you get something, you're like, I'm never letting go. Well, I've been trying to like minimize my clutter. Like I sort of edit my stuff every month to make sure like I'm throwing away even boxes or stuff like that. Although I did find an iPhone 5 because I'm waiting on my iPhone mini. And
Hmm.
like someone has their my dad still has his broken iPhone 5, so I
That I think is a good one to have just to show off the last time
I
that
mean it's
design.
broken. Yeah,
But
but
still, the
like
flat
I have
sides and
yeah.
all that, like
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
last time it
The
happened.
best iPhone though. I love that iPhone.
Yeah.
So what were we talking about?
It's
Hoarding
it's a
and yeah.
it's a straight up tangent episode, but I can bring it
Yeah.
over to a couple of things I feel like we should react to. Um Now
What?
first,
Oh, wait. I sent you a TikTok about this Mexican candy that's like
the
what
lollipop.
is that? What is that? Have you ever had that?
I've never had it. Truth be told,
Have you ever seen it?
I have seen it. Truth be told, I've never actually had much Mexican candy, but I'm aware of quite a few of them. There are some that are fantastic, but this one in particular, I've only seen. I've never had myself. It is a sheet of the actual. I'll use the word concoction that would
Like
normally
it's a
create.
sheet and then there's a stick.
Yeah, there's a stick at the bottom. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to fold it however which way you want, and then when you take the peel off, it'll harden into the actual lollipop itself. So
Yeah.
you're just
I
creating
am
like a
learning, yeah.
mishmash square of.
I am learning so much from TikTok. Like legit, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like knock on it all you want, but there are things that I am learning from there that I'm like, what? And it's blowing my mind.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
amazing. Okay, sorry, you were saying I you just had to bring it up because I want to try it.
well, it's kind of in the line because I think just you're on TikTok, short form video content, right? So we have that IG stories, and now Twitter
I know what. Yes.
is doing one, and
Yes.
I feel like we would have thoughts. Um, I don't know. It's called Fleets. I don't know how you feel about that
I'm
name.
honestly like okay, honestly, I'm not hating on it because Twitter okay, once upon a time I loved Snapchat because of its ethereal snap nature, and then Instagram did stories, and I was so against it at first because I was like, but I love the fact that Snapchat isn't like broadcasted to so many people and I just can post stupid stuff. But eventually I succumbed, right?
Hmm.
And like Instagram keeps doing that, stealing other people's shit. And so like Twitter just went like fuck it, let's do that too. I'm like, you know what? I am all for it. If everyone's gonna be doing it, I'm gonna vouch for like I've always said this, like Twitter is my social media of choice. So
Hmm.
that there's
I
that.
is there I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember what the actual spec of fleets are. People have to be following you to see your fleets, right? They don't just.
I have no idea.
Okay,
I just
this is where the difference might be because obviously things like reels, maybe even stories to an extent, and then of course TikTok, the algorithm is meant for discovery. So
mhm.
even if you were to post something and it's not meant for it's not meant for anyone but your
Mhm.
audience, then the algorithm might be pushing that content to people you don't even not even remotely connected to.
Yeah.
So I wonder if fleets are supposed to work in that way, and I don't think that's the case because I'm looking at the explore page and I don't see fleets there. So if fleets are supposed to be just for your followers, I kind of get that, and I'm kind of into it. That's okay. One thing I do like is that you can share a tweet, any tweet, as a fleet. So that's just more.
Mhm.
That's just better for people like you and me to promote tweets that we might have had. Have another avenue to get eyeballs to our tweets. Like I'm doing a giveaway right now, so it'd be good for me to continue
What are
to.
you giving away?
MediaTek sent me the box with Amazon
Oh.
tablet, and also there was also some oolong tea in there. So I'm like, cool, it's on brand. Um, but yeah, like it would be it's nice to have another, I guess, another methodology. But I think where I come from when it comes to my reactions to this, if what we're going to see is sort of a not exodus, I don't want to say exodus, but people are starting to get really opinionated about which platforms they like. And we, you and I, begrudgingly stay and enjoy Instagram because of its ties to Facebook. Like that's where the begrudging part comes.
No, yeah, the begrudging is the ties to Facebook.
Exactly. So the
I
platform
see.
itself is fine. It's just its ties to Facebook are starting to be a little bit too obvious. Like
Well,
Messenger.
the platform used to be fine, but what it's transforming into is not fine, which is, I think, where the begrudging
Yeah.
starts.
Slowly but surely, things are starting to come up where it's just so obvious that Instagram is a money grab. There's a shopping tab. Facebook wants to inject way more of themselves into it. Like the DMs are now including Facebook Messenger messages, which, like,
Yeah,
no,
I
go.
have not updated because I don't like that.
Yeah, I was like, go away. I don't want that at all. That's like the last thing that I want. So, with that in
Yeah.
mind, I feel like a place like Twitter, which, despite all of its, let's say, issues or like what issues there might be with Twitter, if they can feel this changing of public opinion towards Instagram or even let's say TikTok, if people actually believe like the crap about TikTok, um, well then why not provide the same level of content to the people who are sticking with our platform, which means stories,
Yeah,
which
so
means short
yeah.
form content, stuff like
So
that.
to be perfectly honest, like I find the whole platform thing amazing because I mean, as communication graduates, we've always been told that medium is the message. Uh huh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh huh. And so that is a calm theory for context, people. You can Google Marshall McLuhan. But so this theory was applied to traditional media, and seeing it applied to new media is very interesting because you also see the difference in context depending on different platforms. That being said, I've always found um, it to be interesting that, like, for example, I have around 15,000 on Instagram. I have a Facebook page that has like around 30,000 people on there. I have Twitter and it's my smallest social. And I've never tried to grow my Twitter. It's just I say what I say. I have the smallest following on Twitter. Like I have like 5,000. And I can tell you now that according to my YouTube stats, there are times where that 5,000 gives me more traffic than my Facebook or my Instagram pages,
Mm.
like my source traffic. So, my point being is that you can have numbers, way bigger numbers on other platforms, but like quality still matters more.
Yeah.
Like,
Um,
so and I'm seeing more quality on Twitter consistently. It's not like it's one time this has happened. Like this has happened numerous times. Like I'm seeing more traffic come from Twitter versus like all my other platforms.
mhm. And I do think that it's partially to do with how insulated these other platforms are. Like, for example, I don't know about TikTok, but I'm just speaking from Instagram experience. The whole swipe up thing on stories is nice and all, but it never really has that big of a significant impact. Meanwhile, when you put a link in a tweet, there is a chance, because the tweet is all about the
Uh-huh.
link.
I
Like,
think
there's a
it
chance someone's
depends
actually going to
on.
click it. Because otherwise, when you look at
I
IG
yeah.
stories, you're looking at it in a vacuum. You're like, oh, this
I
story had entertainment value. That goes beyond the link itself. You know?
So I think it depends on your audience though, because like in the Philippines, it's a very big cash grab. So it depends on okay, maybe cash grab is not the best term, but like it can be. Um, Remember, the Philippines is a social media capital of the world. My 15,000 on Instagram, that's nothing here. That's like that's like you've heard me say this before. That's like a girl in a bikini. That's Instagram for us. Like in the US, if you have 15K, that's good. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's good. In the Philippines, it's not. Like it's literally nothing. So that is how bloated our numbers are. So here, imagine those numbers. And if you have a very concentrated niche, like specific audience, you can literally earn thousands or millions from a swipe up. And that's how influencers earn here. Um, I think it would depend. Like, it would like differ if, like, let's say, for example, you do global tech, and your audience base is more like spread out. Of course, the swipe ups wouldn't like pull in more, but think of someone who has, let's say, a 95% Filipino user base.
Mm-hmm.
Put a swipe up on a Lazada sale, and we have those. And
Mm.
like, I'm not exaggerating when I say, like, even for me, with a sort of small following, generate affiliates for these sales.
Yeah, that's true.
So imagine, so I think it depends on like your niche and your base. It can be like useful, but I think in terms of like how tech for us, the way we approach it is set up, it's not that does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like for us, because we cover stuff that are like just outside of our base, and we tend to like go on a more global level in terms of coverage, especially for you because you do like some phones that aren't like in the US.
Yeah.
So like it works better if you have like a tweet that can sort of reach outside of your bubble versus your following in the US that has just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did
Yeah,
I
I
explain
think that's
that?
right. And also, I'm very. You make a good point about the affiliate marketing of these platforms, and I don't know if I've ever said this on a show before, but I've always been very bad at that. it is
Yeah.
it is one aspect to the work that people like us do, and I'm not great at it.
So yeah, it's funny because I think it's because you and I both come from journalist backgrounds.
Yep.
So we are not like very like I'm just
I'm not a
learning. I'm learning.
salesperson. I'm not.
Yeah. Like I'm actually just learning how to do that now, and a lot of those affiliates that came in for me came from the new website that I built, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So it's not even me saying buy this because like it's I also still struggle with that. Um but it's just interesting how that whole side of the business works because you have to realize that, and this is a hard lesson for me, being a good journalist does not make you a good content creator, but also being a good content creator entails that you also have to be a good marketer.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't admit.
Mm-hmm.
You can't live on this just by creating good content. At least you can live on it sustainably.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn how to market yourself too, whether it be selling your stuff, whether it be selling your videos to an audience. Like you have to package it in a way that people will want to click that.
Yeah. Totally. And when you put it that way, I wonder how I've even had any success at all up until now because I'm not really. I don't cater my shit to that philosophy. You know what I mean? Like, how do I make myself the most
Yeah.
sellable thing? I guess this is a really weird
But
flex, but maybe I am just sellable, like on my own, like just the
yeah,
way that I
okay,
am.
babe. And I think we wait, what's wrong with my glasses? Like, okay, sorry you guys, but my ears are not like level, so I'm just noticing it's crooked because my ears are not I'm not perfect. Um and that's okay. Um wait. I think we touched on this a little like I forget which episode, but like that's what makes you good though. Like you are marketing yourself, but you've become so good at your brand because you've done it for so many years that you don't even recognize it. And you have been so honest and genuine about what brand you are that you marketing it doesn't even feel like marketing,
Yeah, I guess so. I
you know?
mean,
So like I was always so amazed at how you could create branding for yourself out of thin air because remember I was there when wait when this happened. Wait, what's the
right
right
hand. Yeah,
one?
there you go. Right hand.
Yeah, anyway, I was there when this started, when your JV thing started,
Mm-hmm.
and how this caught up to people still still confuses me because I'm like how so I remember learning about your what was it, there was another one before this. There was a
The salute.
yeah, there was a JV salute.
Yeah.
And so I remember like learning about that. I'm like, that's cool. That's branding for you. And then I saw you redo that with a JV. And for you, that was just like creating something unique, but that's actually marketing.
Mm.
So it just it comes naturally to you, but that doesn't mean it's not there.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, you've done the same with your stuff. Like you've been able to. You put a lot of thought into it, and it pays
Well, my
dividends.
hands are pink. This is the payoff.
Yeah,
I
that's
what
the effort.
I can't.
What I mean is
Yeah.
the thought that when you came up with like when you and I brainstormed the Issa Does branding and how to move that into the tech sphere and all of that, and you put a lot of thought into it, and even the show. Like I came up with the name, but you came up with the rest.
I mean, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for me. It's not something that comes naturally,
Hmm.
except for my naturally pink hair. I'm kidding. I've been trying to convince my parents to to dye their hair pink because if I do that, I can legit post and say to the haters, "Let me tell you, this is my natural hair color, and this is proof."
Okay.
They won't dye their hair pink. I don't know what, like, how I'm.
I was actually going to ask you, and I just remembered right now. Like, okay, so I'm in need of a haircut because normally my sides are a lot shorter. But what if I were to get the side shorter, but the top, like literally just this, would be bleached, like a light bleach,
So
not
we can,
even not
so
even.
so we can be our logo.
Is it bleached in the logo? I don't like
Babe,
blonde
look at the
bleached.
technically together logo.
I remember it being like
Look at
blue.
look at it. It's not blue. Look at it. It's JV green.
Oh, it's green.
It's
No, I didn't.
literally
But I don't
JV
mean
green.
green. I don't mean green. I mean just bleached, just a lighter color.
Then it'll be yellow.
Yeah.
No, don't be yellow. Never stay with just bleached. Like you have to tone it.
Oh,
It will
okay.
look bad because you are Filipino and your hair is black. And if you
Hmm.
bleach it, it turns yellow. It will look like what do
There's,
you look hay? It will look like bahay kubo hay. We don't want that. Like
but
I
there's
think
the
what you
dude.
mean is
I got
bleach
the
like white,
inspiration. I got the inspiration
like
from that.
white.
Like white. White would be fine.
Yeah, do you mean like white or gray?
I could do that. That would be fine.
Because that's bleach, but you have to tone it.
Okay.
No one
Okay.
says, babe.
Okay.
Like just bleach is yellow.
Because there's that chef. There's a chef that I follow on TikTok where he literally just makes broth on his. He calls it broth. I think it's broth talk or something like that. But he's a young.
Bratwurst.
He's
What?
a he's a young he's a younger, I think, Chinese Canadian or Chinese American. I think Chinese Canadian. I think he's a Chinese Canadian chef, and he has a very soothing voice. He just voiceovers himself making the broth,
Mm-hmm.
and that's his hair. Like he has the undercut with the shaved sides, but the entire top part is a very light color. I want to venture to say it's
Mm-hmm.
blonde, but he pulls it off pretty well. So I was like, huh, like that'd be interesting.
Oh, up to you.
So I don't know.
I was
Maybe the
actually like
next time
sort of
people
getting
finally
bored
see
and
me
I
after pandemic, I'm gonna look super different.
yeah,
Well, that's what I
wait, I
want.
was
That's the reason why I
actually
gotta
like
work out.
I was actually like, should I just do purple again because I'm bored or cut my hair super short because I sort of want to cut my hair super short but don't because like I there's so much upkeep in this. I'm not just cutting it off, man. But I've been bored.
You could do
Like I
the
saw
bob
this.
again. I've seen
Yeah, I
pictures
saw
of the
this.
old bob.
Yeah, I saw this TikTok where the girl was like, I mean, she was like, I'm very confused about what gender I identify as. I'm talking about gender, okay, not sexual preference. So people, there's a difference between sex, gender, and sexual preference.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was talking about like gender. She was just like she's like I was born female, but sometimes I want to like have a manicure, put a manicure, like get a manicure, but I don't want it to be like manicure. I want it to be like manicure. Like, does that make sense? Like, it totally made sense to me. Like, she's like, I want to get a haircut, but I don't want to be like haircut, cute, pretty, but I want to be like haircut. But like, it's a girl. Like, it's. I want it to be feminine. She's basically saying, and this is the best way I can put this. I want it to be feminine, but I want to get a feminine cut, but I don't want it to be cute and pretty. I want it to be fierce.
Yeah, that makes
Which
sense.
is why I follow that like that Chinese designer lady, which
Hmm.
literally they have like skits of them. I've showed you this girl, right?
Yeah.
She has this like boycott, and like I find her so hot.
That's like
Like I have
that's
never
almost
found
like
like a woman more hot.
it's like Barbie versus Devil Wears Prada type.
Yes, yes. So like it's the whole androgynous fierce thing.
Yeah. I wouldn't even really
There's
say that
this.
it's truly androgynous though, because there are some very like specific womanly tones to even the fierceness.
Well, okay, okay. I think you should check out. There is this lesbian girl I follow because I think she's hot because she's androgynous.
Hmm.
Like she used to be named like Martha Watermelon on Instagram. So she has features that like are traditionally pretty, but then she does androgynous looks, and it's
Okay.
also like I find that like very hot. Like that's so weird. I think, and I think like I'll just point this out, and I think it's like it's when women start dressing for themselves.
Yeah, that's true. I
Like
guess
I
the
will always respect what you find hot, but at the same time, I wanna like, and there are memes about this, right? You know how like men are like, why would you wear that? I don't find that hot. And like women are like, you think we do this because we want you. Like it's for like yourself and what you find hot. It's that,
no, I get that. And
yeah.
and I think, and obviously the ultimate underlying truth here is, express yourself however you want.
Hmm.
The reason why I'm not trying to make a distinction of what is androgynous or not. I was just thinking to myself like I don't really view it as truly, because when I think of androgynous, I think of like a guy who's, let's say, male, like male, their sex is not quite so represented in their gender expression. So it's not super obvious. It's definitely a little bit more ambiguous in the way that they express themselves. Meanwhile, in the way that that woman on TikTok, the Chinese fashion designer, like the clothing that's being used in those particular pieces are very much like that's women's clothing. That's women's fashion. It's just being used in a very fierce manner rather than just cutesy, light, airy pink.
Oh no, she was wearing suits. She wears suits a lot.
I saw a couple where, well, I can imagine those. Yes, I do see that. But I guess I just saw a couple where it was
Yeah,
a little bit more dress rather than like
yeah.
pantsuit. You know.
Like you, like if you check out the Martha girl, she legit wears like suits and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah. Even then, it's like cut a certain way for a woman's
Yeah, but
body.
like if you think about it though, like that doesn't mean make it feminine. That's the whole point. Why are suits catered towards men?
Hmm.
So we go back to the whole like why are you putting a gender in suits? So like suits being cut in female body shapes are just suits. It doesn't need to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get where you are, and I think it's just where our perspectives come from. Like,
Yeah.
ultimately, it's all acceptance. It's just sort of
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
we are looking at it. Because if you
Yeah,
were
and
to,
it's hard to describe, right? It's hard
yeah,
to describe because it's like, I mean, how we're talking about it is how we understand it and how we see it.
mhm.
Like being obviously very binary people and having grown up in our general realities, like both of us are very traditional in that sense. I am traditionally female and you are traditionally male, and we traditionally have had like ideas of what feminine and masculine is. And it's like this exploration and being open to like the exploration of what the whole, and we're not even talking about like gender in a heavy sense, right? Of course both of us won't be like the best people to talk about that. We're even just talking about style.
Yeah, exactly.
And even that is like it's a struggle to try to explain.
Well, I think there's just like a ton of degrees to it, right? So
Yeah,
I guess in my
definitely.
case, coming from a sort of, I want to say, overtly binary American Western perspective. Like when I think of androgyny, I have a friend who embraces androgyny. It's very much her identity.
Mm-hmm.
So born woman, but embraces the androgynous side of herself, or just the androgynous identity of herself. And her style is so not like, it's very much not, you could very much see that's not a very feminine style in the traditional, like, very cutesy type
Mm-hmm.
of way. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost very boyish, and you would use the terms like
Yeah.
tomboy and stuff like that. Another example that popped into my head is the friend of, what's her name from Mean Girls? I'm trying to remember the main girl's, the actress's name,
Mm-hmm.
the redhead.
Yeah,
Her
yeah, yeah.
her friend is the one who would wear like zoot suits, and like she was very much like not really super like non-feminine, but she that is what we would probably consider a bit more androgynous as well.
But like, okay, what was I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen photos.
Hmm.
The movie with Kate Blanchett in her suits. Robbers. They were robbers or some. I forget.
Ocean's 8? No. Not,
Yeah,
oh really? Oh,
maybe like
okay.
the one with the suits.
I don't know.
That's also pretty androgynous.
Hmm.
Like she was looking stylish, but they were suits. She was like actually, but I mean, like we can educate ourselves more. Of course,
Well, because the other,
we are scratching the surface. This is talking about looks and aesthetics, right?
yeah, because I would say that
Yeah.
the other side of the coin, coming from the perspective that's fed to me in my culture, androgyny androgyny is actually most applied to Asian pop stars and Asian
Yeah.
characters.
Oh, do you remember the song where it goes like, "Girls in the boys' room, boys in the girls' room. I'll free your mind with your androgyny."
Nope, don't know
Na,
that
na,
song.
na, na, na. Oh my god, I love that song. And but yes, also yes, that is in K-pop groups.
Hmm.
But I guess like that being said, it's also again gender is very highly linked to culture.
Hmm.
And again, culturally in Korea, like what the Filipino macho, ultra macho culture would see and say as metrosexual is to Korea a very normal part of street fashion.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, this deserves a very nuanced discussion.
Well, that's the thing. Like, where it's one of those topics that seems it could seem kind of like cut and dry, but it is actually one of the most, like you
It is
said,
not. Yeah.
nuanced discussions that there can be. And ultimately,
Yeah.
though, like I said earlier, like express yourself however you want. And at the end of the day, androgynous or not, if you're stylish as fuck, you're stylish as fuck.
Yeah. Agreed. 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 I forgot where we are at like
We started at
before this whole
fleets, and then it
fashion.
became we went from
Ah,
fleets to
really
fashion.
this podcast topic will literally just be like tangents. It's
From fleets to
see
fashion. How about
guys,
that?
and now we're having just a nice conversation versus how we started up riled up. So what I mean, you know that one of my life's mottos is that failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. That is one of my life's mottos.
Hmm.
But it also applies to a lot of things, like let us change up the words. Bad vibes will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough.
My only thing that
Misinformation will never succeed if my determination to succeed is strong enough, right?
fair. And to the context of our relationship, the only thing I would say is on the path to success lies a trail of destruction
Yes,
that might
but
affect other
again,
people, is my only point.
yes, but again, that like negative impact. It's like I've always believed that if at this point you are not happy, you have the choice to change that because that point need not be the end point.
Yeah.
So continuing on may bring you to a happy point.
Yeah.
So my point is like again, failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. If you are unhappy with the result, if you keep on going, you will ultimately get to a point where you are not unhappy anymore.
Agreed. And this is much more in the macro sense. I'm just saying in the micro sense of if your microphone's not working and you get really pissed off, I feel frustrated too.
I know, I was really mad about
So
it.
that's what I'm saying
I
is
just
the path of destruction affects more than we might realize. So
yeah,
then
but
this is
also what we have learned.
and what we're able to do after that situation is the result of 3 years of hard work in our relationship.
Yes. And what I've also learned, and this is um um where did I learn this? I'm trying to remember. I cannot remember. But like sometimes you have to feel it, right? Sometimes you have to wallow in it.
Mhm.
When I got sad and started crying and was pissed at myself for crying, and you told me it was okay to cry. Um, because I tend to just push it away. And so anyway, like you realize that it's also okay to feel things.
Mhm.
There was recently a tweet from someone I followed, like a new friend of mine, where she goes like, "You have to feel things. You have to go through the motions." Also, Chris and Ian,
Oh yeah.
like, cause like Chris goes like, "I feel this," and Ian goes like, "Okay, let's take the second for you to feel that."
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think I watch their stuff fairly frequently now. I mean, it just keeps coming up. Um, I feel like okay, Ian has to know that Chris is filming him at any time when he asks something random like that, right? Like there's got to be a certain awareness at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it though,
I'm not saying it's fake.
you
I'm just
ask me a
saying
lot of random no, but you ask me a lot of random things too. And I ask you a lot of random things too. And we don't even film it.
true, but not the types of questions that are meant to. I'll use the word antagonize, but it's not really the full. It's too severe of a word. But like the things that Chris would ask Ian to rile up in a reaction from him for the TikTok are not questions we would say in our normal daily lives. I feel like they will come up, but I'm not saying that it's such an everyday occurrence.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, as with like a lot of people, social media is an exaggerated version of themselves,
True. What I
right?
find
Doesn't make
funny,
it any less real.
despite yeah, no, I'm not saying it's fake at all because even if
Yeah.
Ian knows, he still not really indulges, he still jumps into it. He still dives in with him.
Yeah, I mean, indulgence is also a good word. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, we do that too. Like, we say stupid things and sometimes just indulges the other. You
yeah.
indulge me a lot.
I let you keep going. This is the funny thing. Like I actually have an improvisational background. I've done improv, like and I'm very much a fan of improv,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm very bad at it now. So like when you bring up
I don't think you're
something,
bad at it now.
well, this is the thing. I feel so jilted every time you bring up something like out of left field. And my best response half the time is to just go, and let you keep going with it rather than me actually doubling down with you. Like, from a comedic standpoint, I'm a terrible improvisationalist. From a relationship standpoint, yes, I'm a great improviser. But
And
yeah,
I think that is what is most important.
but yeah, I would love to be better at improv in general. Like I actually wanted to like just be better at it so that it could bleed into more parts of my life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the yes anding, as it were. So we're just past the hour mark. I do want to say one last thing actually, and we can talk the
Yes,
thing is there's
and
the thing the thing is there's nothing for you to actually actually say when I bring this up. I just want to mention that I had a wonderful weekend playing an entire PS5 game. And I
good
got
for you.
I got both consoles and I'm very happy that look, like I just want to put this out there, like I got the not really cheaper, but they are cheaper. Like actual in monetary sense, they are cheaper. But there's a reason. I got the versions of the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 that don't take discs, so there's no more physical media. It's all downloaded, and because of that,
Who
because
uses discs?
well, there are. I mean, you could have physical copies of the games you love, and it's a thing. It's something you can enjoy. Um, like having the old cartridges of your Game Boy. Like I still have some. Um,
I've never owned a Game Boy, so
yeah, you're not much of a gamer. Um, but yeah, the I got those editions and I played over the weekend. Even my brother, he came over, and he played the racing game on the Xbox, and he all of a sudden it felt like we were in college or high school again. Like there was just a sort of
that's
like
nice.
it was really nice, and just seeing him like enjoy the racing game because that's his type of game. He was really into it. And I played Spider-Man Miles Morales. It turned out to be a fantastic game, and I don't know, it was just a good time. Like the thought that came to my mind recently, and I told my parents this was I joked with them about this. I said it only took me 31 years, but now I could finally buy these consoles by myself, and I don't need you anymore. So I was able to get both, pre-ordered
And you have
them.
two.
Yeah, I have both of them. I've never had an Xbox before. As Issa knows, I've always been a PlayStation guy. I've always been about the
Oh, I
PlayStation.
don't know that. I
Oh,
didn't know that. I thought the PlayStation was your computer, remember?
oh, that's
Oh, I
right.
thought I was confused, remember? I didn't know what a PlayStation was.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then. But yeah, I would talk about PlayStation a lot and never Xbox.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah, so for context, I thought that his PlayStation was a CPU. Like I've sat on that desk and worked on that desk, and I thought that the PlayStation was a
oh yeah,
CPU.
the PS4
And
that
then
used
so
to
like
be right
yeah,
here.
so he was freaking out about how he could like play remotely, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Isn't the PlayStation on your living room like TV, because that's where you play it? And he's like, no, it's that box. And I'm like, no, that's the CPU. Yeah.
Honestly, though, I
And
wish
this happened like a few months ago. It didn't happen like a few years back. Like this happened like
the last time you were
this
here.
years. Yeah.
So I, in some ways, I wish that these new consoles could just be like. I wish I could like put a processor in them and they could be an actual computer because they are that powerful. They're pretty freaking amazing.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I just had a good time. Just like we Isa and I have been talking a lot about trying to get our weekends back, and that kind of felt like I got it back. Like I
Yeah.
literally just sat there and played video games and ate poorly, and so I'm actually my health is in a very not great place right now. Well, after that, I fasted to reset myself. But yeah, the that was my weekend, and I just had fun with that. I just want to put that out there. So
Well, we fixed the house. So I keep on buying anthuriums.
oh, you can. You were fixing your glasses. I didn't want to interrupt you from that.
Oh, sorry. It's I don't know what's happening here. My ear, it's really just this one's higher.
Okay. Final thought question. I heard something a couple of times during the show. You can cut this out if you want. Um, is Chew in there with you, or was that your stomach growling?
Oh my god! I think my stomach growling. Is that my stomach growling? Can you hear it?
I heard one
I it's the first
pretty.
day of my period.
Well, I heard one pretty.
Welcome
I've heard.
to my
I heard the first one quite strongly, so it probably showed up on the recording.
welcome to my menstruation.
I thought Chew
You know,
was
I'm not
like
even
at your
gonna cut it
feet.
out. No, and I'm not even gonna cut it out. It's like, so I get like so I actually have hyperacid, but it's not even that. It's like my period. It's my first day. When I told you I didn't wake up very nicely this morning, it was
Mm-hmm.
that I am bleeding out. I'm bleeding out. This, my body is mad at me
Mm.
for not having babies, which is stupid because I already have a baby, me. Um, so welcome to menstruation. That is what women feel monthly, which is funny when men still make fun of it. You don't. I'm just saying in general, the scientists have said that the pain index for menstruation and having babies are
It's
greater
high.
than you like what people actually think it is. So, and on a tangent, let me just say that medicine is not the same for everyone. So let's advocate for medicine for women because it is statistically proven that women have to go through pain their whole lives because statistically medicine is set up for the white male.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in
I
summation, that was my tummy. It
okay.
is 1:30 p.m. I have not had lunch, but it's not like I will eat a lot because my tummy it hurts.
Mm. I
I will probably not move this week either because it hurts.
well, virtual chocolate to you. Um,
I want chocolate.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Virtual chocolate to you. Um,
And I can't eat virtual chocolate.
I think the last thing that we'll say is on well, I don't know. I don't really have a last
Can't
thing.
believe you called out my growling tummy on our
That's why I said you
podcast.
could cut it out if you want, but
I'm
I
not cutting it
I
out.
just
I'm
had this
doubling
really
down.
I just had this really cute like image in my head of like Chew at your feet and like she yawned. And I
No,
thought that was what
no, no. It was just my body
uh
saying stop. Don't do
okay.
anything today.
Well, I think go
Yeah.
get something to eat. I think that's what you should do now. Then
This is this is dedication to my craft, babe.
fair, but we have completed the craft. We can end at any moment now, and we're having the trouble again of how do we end the goddamn show.
Sorry. Well, I'm not doing anything to help that. You do it.
Okay.
You put us here
All
talking
right.
about my dog who's not in this room.
Which I said you could cut out of the show. Okay, fine. We're gonna end the show before you keep bringing up the topic again.
I'm kidding. Okay, bye.
See, bad at improv.
This week's podcast lesson, well, actually, everyday in real life lesson that applies not only to tech is that sometimes stuff just doesn't work and you just have to be patient. That's it for today, guys. Find Technically Together on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, the video version will be uploaded on YouTube on Technically Together. Until next week, see you!